Hey y'all, here's another herb I've been talking about a lot in recent podcasts and actually in my last, video before last. You may remember I was talking about giant ragweed and I said one of the leaves was palmate. And I said it looks like one of the three leaves we find on sassafras. Well, it looks a little like this. Three distinct lobes, kind of like a hand, a Muppet's hand, right? If a hand only had three fingers. Um, this is one of the three shapes of sassafras. The other would be a mitten shape. And always an oval shape, which is actually a cuminate, but that's what you would call an entire margin, meaning it's not lobed. There's one that's a little wilted. We've been blazing hot here, blazing hot. There you go. You see the margin's entire. It's not lobed at all. It's a very simple leaf, but it will always be found just right side by side with one that looks like a mitten and one that has three distinct lobes, like, well, yeah, there we go. So, it's going to be a small shrub up to a small tree. So, look for this when it's anywhere from 6 inches tall to, I don't know, 16 feet tall. Nice green foliage. This is in the laurel family. It's one of our few native laurels. I'm fortunate enough to live where both the sassafras and the spice bush grow. And both of these are useful culinary herbs. Both of them are medicinal herbs. This, after fur trapping, was America's first and most important export. The British, the Europeans loved sassafras. They loved the medicine that could be made from it. They loved the seasoning that could be made from it. They loved root beer that could be made from it. The leaves are still used today in gumbo. This is the thickener called gumbo filet when these are all dried up and ground into a fine powder. The herbal use is a little controversial. Now, I'll explain. I've mentioned this before in the podcast, but for some of you who haven't heard it, a few decades ago, our all-knowing federal government, the Tony Fauci type, decided to do some experiments on sassafras to see if it was safe or if they could finally debunk herbal medicine and make everybody buy expensive prescription drugs. Well, you know what they wanted to prove. They wanted to prove it was dangerous. So what do? They gave baby rats the equivalent of, say, in one serving, 50 gallons of sassafras tea. So much. If you were to make it yourself, you would have to take all this sassafras and, I mean, super concentrated, high doses, and literally drink it by the oil drum every day for months. And they proved that the saffrol, is the essential oil in sassafras, could be carcinogenic in super high doses. They banned sassafras. They took it out of the spice market. They took it out of the root beer. They took it out of the herbalist shelves. It made it illegal to buy or sell sassafras. It's still a commonly used herb in herbal medicine because it works. And yes, it was later proven that those studies were false. They were not legitimate, but it's still the law because once our government does something, once they put a regulation in place, they really don't like to take it back. Uh, once you give up a little freedom, you don't get it back easily. So, you will not be able to buy sassafras unless you find an herbalist that will sell you some, and don't tell anybody their name if they do. You need to go in the woods and look for this. And luckily, you can find it pretty much all over North America except in arid, dry places. You're probably within driving distance at least to get some. And it's totally not endangered. I mean, just right here in my yard, I have 5 dozen, 5 dozen seriously sassafras trees. They're almost weedy where I live, and they're everywhere in the woods. And down in the sandhills of North Carolina, they grow. In the swamps of North Carolina, they grow. This is one of the primary herbs used by the Lumbee Indians, the Cherokees, the Catawbas. This is a great medicinal herb. So let me go ahead and give you the virtues of the plant. This is from Plants Plants for a Future. Sassafras has a long history of herbal use. It was widely employed by many Native American Indian tribes who used it to treat a wide range of complaints, valuing it especially for its tonic effect upon the body. It is still commonly used in herbalism as a domestic remedy. The root bark and root pith are alterative. Alterative means it kind of heals the body subtly. It just generally strengthens the body, kind of moving it into a place of health. It's a very similar term to the word tonic, but tonic can also mean tonifying, so sometimes the words are used interchangeably. Um, and then it says in the next sentence, valuing it especially for its tonic effect upon the body. It is still commonly used in herbalism, which I just read. Um, See, the root bark and pith are alterative, anodyne, antiseptic, aromatic, carminative, diuretic, stimulant, and vasodilator. That's a lot, isn't it? It's powerful medicine, even though it's very subtle in its action. Antiseptic means it kills germs. Aromatic means it has a wonderful, invigorating scent. Um, Carminative means it settles the stomach. Diuretic means it helps break a fever. I'm sorry, diaphoretic means it helps break a fever. Diuretic means it helps you get rid of excess fluids. It's stimulant. It's vasodilator. Vasodilator means it dilates the blood vessels, the veins. A tea made from the root bark is particularly renowned as a spring tonic and blood purifier, as well as a household cure for a wide range of ailments such as gastrointestinal complaints, colds, kidney ailments, rheumatism, and skin eruptions. Mucilaginous pith has been used as a poultice or wash for eye ailments and also taken internally as a tea for chest, liver, and kidney complaints. An essential oil from the root bark is used as an antiseptic in dentistry and also as an anodyne. The oil contains saffrol, which is said to have carcinogenic activity and has been banned from use in American foods, though it is less likely to cause cancer than alcohol. There's a good analogy. In large doses, the oil would be poisonous. Essential oils in large doses are always poisonous. Okay, remember that. Don't use essential oils as a tincture. They're really very dangerous. They can kill you. Um, that's how people die from Thujan poisoning. They try to make their own absinthe, and instead of making a nice extraction of wormwood, they go get the essential oil and mix it together with alcohol and go psychotic and then die. So not fun, right? Let's see. The oil has been applied externally to control lice and treat insect bites, although it can cause skin irritation. Again, if you use essential oils, always dilute them with a neutral oil. It could be anything that you would take internally. I mean, you wouldn't want to use motor oil, obviously, like some olive oil, safflower oil, whatever you want to use that is you feel is from a good, clean source. So that's sassafras, and I think probably the first herb I ever learned to identify. My mother would show it to me when I was very little and talk about how the old folks would take the bark, the roots, and chew them and use them as toothbrushes. And yeah, that was a very old folk tradition. In fact, it was said that the people of Virginia, especially the black folks, had the healthiest teeth in America, the most bright, shining teeth because they were always chewing sassafras roots to clean their teeth. Um, it is still considered to be a great tonic, a spring tonic in the mountains. If you think about the old folks like the Hicks family that I learned herbalism from, living in a 200-year-old cabin with no indoor plumbing, no furnace, of course, a wood stove, wood cook stove, and wood heating stove, two wood stoves, only one electric light. There was no electricity in the house except Ted, the son, he had a radio. And you stuck in all winter. I mean, when it starts snowing, just say in November, you're not going out for the next 4 months, maybe even longer sometimes. A lot of dried meats, salted meats, a lot of dried fruits and vegetables. Um, Now they grew cabbages. They would turn them upside down, and they'd be covered in snow. And they just go out and pull up a cabbage. So they kept the vitamin C. They didn't have problems with scurvy like some of their ancestors would have, but still after being cooped up in that cabin with tons of wood smoke, tons of tobacco smoke, and a lot of salt meats and everything. Your immune system, your whole system just need a pickup in the spring. And that's what sassafras was for. Sassafras tea was a spring tonic. It would be sipped through the winter to help stave off winter ailments, you know. It's warming. It's a nice warming tea. It kind of takes care of the chill, supports the immune system, and it's called a blood purifier. And that's one of those old terms that yeah, a lot of modern herbalists don't like because, you know, it's one of those things you can't really prove. But you know, it's just that feeling in the wintertime, especially in those hard, tucked in mountain winters where the blood is thick. That's how it's described. You feel like the blood is thick, you feel sluggish, you feel like you need a cleansing. You need to get some toxins out. And so the sassafras was used for that, and it's still used in the mountains by people who know. And it's also really good for coughs and asthma. And really going to have around if you can have it. It's not a particularly ornamental tree, but it will get these little berries. They're called drupes, maybe about that big around the end, and they turn a beautiful reddish purple color. In fact, the leaves of the whole tree turn reddish purple in the fall. It's a really pretty one. You'll find in the woods. So I'll see y'all next time. Go out and look for some sassafras if you live where it grows, and if you don't, go visit somewhere and get some because that's probably the only way you're going to get it. All right, y'all. Have a good one.